Hello. So we're back at it one more time. Um, just gonna just kick back, relax, and just let you guys know exactly what I see in my mind's eye going forward. Literally, um, I haven't been spot on everything, but I've been pretty darn close for a lot of the things that I've said could take place, will take place. Um, there's an article right now. It's too big to fit into this little box right here. One of the complaints I have about YouTube little thing. Don't worry, just got a little job today, so I'll have to figure out my little streaming effort here in a couple of weeks after I get some money in my pocket because I want it to be a little bit different. I just want to be able to screen share. That's really the major thing. Um, if I can screen share it, I would like wouldn't have an issue right now, but I can't do that, so that kind of sucks because some of the things I need to show you, like that you can see it yourself, so you can understand firsthand how impactful it's going to be. And the article was really about the college admission scandals, but it didn't say that, and it was like going forward, pretty much the college admission. You know what I mean? Like in light of everything, it's going to affect low income people. Now, the picture that they use to depict this is this young black lady who's smiling, right? Looks like she's just ready for the struggle, I guess. And what makes it so insulting is that like I told people, I was like, man, they're gonna find a way to fuck people over. But don't worry though. They haven't found a way to double back on those Pell Grants just yet. When they do, I hope they don't. I pray to God they don't. But when they do, a lot of people are in trouble. Not the black people, but a large number of men and women who may have used these government funds because they were government funds, and God forbid the government says, well, we need proof that you spent these on expenditures related to school. I know this is far reaching, but it's not too, it's not really that absurd or obscene to think this because uh, the Trump administration is not thinking about it. They're going to get some sort of a measure passed to where legal immigration is stymied and stifled. So they're saying, and what's funny is that they're not talking about just all the different immigrants altogether. Now they're talking about like just the people from south of the border in particular, and because the reason why is because most people who immigrant from another country, not all of them, but a lot of the time when people get work visas, they're normally specialists in a certain work field, or they have credentials, said credentials in a certain work field, so they go and get a job doing certain things. That's not always the case, but that's normally the case when they come from overseas. When their issue with these people coming from south of the border is that you had cats who were getting their wives or their husbands sponsored, right, to come with them who and mainly wives being sponsored to come with their husbands, but I'm sure there were cases of women trying to bring their husbands with them too. Um, but these dudes are trying to bring their wives up there, and the government's like, look, we're not about to pay for that shit anymore. As a matter of fact, if you can't show that you make enough money that your income threshold is 250%, you know what I mean? Like what's actually needed to meet all your obligations. It's pretty much like making three times your rent. You know what I mean? Like you need to be making this much more money than what you're having to spend than what it's going to cost to take care of you, based on wherever you're going to be living at. And the reason why they're saying this is because look, for years and years and years and years and years, they've been letting people go into these social security offices. And I'm not just going to put this on people from south of the border. I'm gonna hit the Russians with this too. I don't really know much about the Asians doing it or the Africans doing it, but I know about the Russians and the Mexicans in particular doing this shit where you know what they used to do. They probably don't do it anymore. Or you would think that the system's caught on. But let's say like a family of like I don't know, like 18 people moved up here, and then one of the family members was hiding the family was hiding. But I'm just talking right now about like people beating the system. So just catch on real quick. This is the game. You used to have these people who would come up here from Mexico, Russia, whatever, and they would have their children in like the DSHS or whatever, like whatever the office is. And the office, what would happen is this: is that you would have their children dressed up a certain way. Then a cousin might come with the same children, redress the children, right? Might take two or three of the children out. You know what I'm saying? And then what they do is they run the process where continuously, boom. So one person's getting paid through the system, next person's getting paid through the system, and so the government's like, you know what? No more of that shit. You know. Um, and I've been trying to tell people. I was talking to you about this the other day, Martin, but the welfare and all that stuff was initially made for poor whites. I've already proved this stuff with videos made before about the Dust Bowl and all this shit. Those White Heaven videos are really classics because I go into how not only is the Dust Bowl one of the most detrimental things that ever happened to white people. One of the things I'm going to veer off into here in a second, just a little caveat about George Washington Carver, how he literally saved the entire South from the Dust Bowl, and it's because he brought what's called um, um, he brought diversification of produce to the farms. So as opposed to them just growing cotton, right, and maybe corn or something, right, they're growing yams and sweet potatoes and peas, right, things that put the nitrogen, peanuts, that things that put the nitrogen back into the soil, right. So what happened is that all the farmers, check this right here out, all the farmers who followed what George Washington Carver did, they were able to replenish the land enough to where when the Dust Bowl happened, it didn't affect them like that. Now imagine if the people in the Midwest, Texas, and all those places, Oklahoma in particular, had actually freaking done the same thing. They probably wouldn't have gone through what they went through. But it's just a great showing as to how intelligent the man was and the tragedy he actually helped prevent for black people, for rural black people. He may have seen it coming, y'all. He may have understood that a massive wind will pick up all that dirt because it's not turnable. It holds no life in it. Right on. He may have seen that and been like, the only way that these black people are even going to kind of survive if something happens is if the land here is still usable, fertile. However, that's just a small caveat. And going back to these people beating the system, look, man, they said 4 million people are immigrants right now. And this is all people just like mainly from south of the border. I know they're not counting every single person who's here on a visa from Africa. Please. They can't be because shit, like a million of them live in Seattle. You know what I mean? Stop playing. I'm not like a million, but you get what I'm saying. For real though, like there's tens of thousands of people that I'm for sure who live in Seattle of all different races who are probably here on visas. So I have a hard time believing that it's a real. You can't really target and aim it at them. You know what I'm saying? But you can target and aim it at the people that you want to keep out this the most immediate general vicinity. And what the argument was saying, and the article was saying based on this argument was that the administration is going to make it to where people who are illegal, who are legal workers, who have the right to be here, authorized workers to be here, are now going to have a much harder time to get up in this joint. And this just goes to show you guys like they're getting ready to pull something off. This is why they're trying to build that wall as fast as possible. Get rid of as many of these immigrants as possible. Did you know since like June or whatever, And now of this year, they've deported almost 50,000 people from Guatemala who came up here. This is why you don't hear about the shelters being sweltered no more. You know what I'm talking about? Because they've sent all those people home. And how can you get back up in here? You can't. See what I'm talking about? This is why it's like, man, I mean, it's crazy. It's really super duper crazy with a homie. I'm like, oh shit, it's going down. Uh, I got your link too. I got to see some of it. I didn't get to watch all of it, but I'm a scope the rest of it out later. But just back to business, bro. You got to understand, man. Going forward, it's going to be real steep. It's it's going to be really trying for people who think that they're going to be able to swindle their way through all the atmosphere of like everything that's going on. Because there's still companies that are making a lot of money. There's still people who are still making money. So the opulence that they have or that they live in is not mitigated yet, and so therefore there's certain operations that are still taking place that make everything seem real normal. But um, when these mergers happen for these companies, AT&T and T and the like, right? Um, Not AT&T, Sprint and T-Mobile. I want to say are going to merge. I think it's AT&T, and they're going to do that so that way they're going to do that so that way they can on that. Got to see what you're saying right here. Yeah, so yeah, I couldn't see. I don't know why, but the whole screen wasn't there. But no, the overall since that. Oh, just that. Just passed up elections. Beating the government down. Just passed up really good reports. Had some other stuff. I got a couple things I really want to really hit up, but your travel is really going to be stunted, bro. You know what I'm saying, yeah, but still, I yeah, 5G, yeah. I'm thinking about all that, but I'm seeing where like I'm like trying to take it. Okay, so check this out. 5G is going to make it to where they have full blown facial recognition like no other. You're not going to be able to just sneak onto a aircraft or anything like that. When they start throwing drones in the sky, they haven't done it yet. Don't worry, they will. Okay. Um, when they decide that they want to use some of this military technology to get some shit done, bro, it's about to go down. You know, but all these companies, bro, like Sprint, like T-Mobile, who are going to merge and bring together their businesses, it's going to be really, bro, to like hurt the sit. It's going to hurt more than it's going to help anything. Um, it doesn't hurt people who are already making enough money to have a passport already right now. Like, there's going to be so many people though who are drastically affected. And then once again, my point is going to be, how are you going to leave the country? How are you going to leave your state if you don't have a passport, dog, by the plane? So you have to drive. If there's a mass exodus of people driving, you don't think that they're going to have a dossier of all the people that they want stopped, right on, and made and rendered unable to escape or to leave the vicinity? Bro, it hasn't gotten there yet. You see what I'm saying? But folks are so beyond themselves that they don't think it can happen. I want you to understand this, bro. I said confidently they're gonna build the wall. They're building this bitch. Right on. What are they doing right now? They're going through finding out where the what they already know the best points. Now they're filling in some of the supplemental areas. Okay, some of those areas. And when they get to the the, the, the tertiary and quaduciary, right on areas, which are the third and fourth most important, you know, that's when we'll know that this thing is coming to a wrap. But that's not for a while now. You got like Oh no, we got to like February next year, March of next year, and they're going to talk about they've made leaps and bounds progress on that wall. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to be one of Trump's running points. One of Trump's points to get reelected is going to be the wall. It's like it's a fact. You know, um, on that alone, he's getting voted in. I They would have to try to. I mean, trying to impeach him. I'm seeing this all this talk about impeachment. I don't know how to really decipher all that just yet. It's kind of early. Uh, if they blow their load now, they won't be able to get another chance at it. So I hope they blow their load now. Um, but if they wait for it to be perfectly timed, it's not that an impeachment will work, but it's just that it would put a lot of stress on the election cycle and make what should be a victory lap, you know what I'm talking about, into a full blown, contested marathon. So, I mean, I'm still seeing the dude win. It's just there would be a lot of people who would be able to say he's not going to win on the other end of everything if this impeachment process even works partially the way that they want it to. But I don't see it going anywhere right now at this moment. To be continued. Um, you got to really just pay attention to all the stuff that's happening. Uh, all these folks who are out here losing their mind know that some of these people who are losing their mind because they're testing these 5G broadband signals and their brains can't fucking take it. You know that that's the truth. Know that there's people who are out there like that right now, and they know it, dude. And this is why that shit is so dangerous because 5G is quantum computing. You know, they're not gonna just come out and say that to people because they don't want people to know that they've perfected quantum computing to the level that they can introduce it to the environment and not have to worry about the effects because most of these people live in secluded areas. They live off the radar. They live, like in the countryside of the nicer part of the state. Like they live in nice places. They don't live where all the cell phone towers and things like that are at, and they pay for their satellite. You know, um, it's just really kind of one of those things where you have to be careful. But I'm gonna say this right here though too though, bro, because you're in a state like Texas that is gonna be who knows what's gonna happen there, man. I mean, it's crazy. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I will hopefully they get it. You know what I mean? You feel me? I got my little I got my little foil blankets already, for all types of stuff. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying, man. People gotta understand, bro. The shit is real. It will save your life. We're talking about super radiation being produced and permitted, and it's gonna be ongoing and forever until it stops. You know what I'm talking about? So, um, yeah, 5G is quantum computing, and then let's get outside of that for a second. Let's caveat to a whole total different area, which is what this going forward is really about. Watch how because now a lot of these cats shouldn't be before the live streams were different. I'm not gonna say that guys still won't come check me out whenever they feel like it, but I think a lot of them are gonna leave me alone, and that's gonna make the messages change. One of the one brother that I'm gonna tell you right now that I was totally surprised. There's a few of them who kind of ran with what I said years ago, but the one brother I was totally surprised about what he said the other day was my man Cerulean Gray, speaking on Pan Africanism and just the likes. And because I don't think the person who I'm actually talking about is going to watch it, and it's not him. It's a chick actually. Uh, See, he has this thing where he says, that pretty much we're all in the fight together, no matter what, right? And that's class strata, race, sexual preference, all these different little things. But then he goes on to say that people who are swirlers and damn like interracial daters, coons, this, that, and the other, bed witches and bed bugs, and it's like, okay, well, I hear you, but I think he's just playing that ploy of we're all in it together because he understands that if he could consolidate enough of the power, you could force people out of those lifestyles or you could severely punish them. Just my opinion on the matter. That's why I don't say anything. I've never said anything to him about it. You know what I mean? This is my own channel. I'm a grown ass man. I can say what I like. But and because I don't think anybody's gonna really watch it, I don't have anything to worry about as far as him getting any real blowback. But I do know that he was Navy intelligence, and just wanted like just a basic level of how military intelligence works is like sometimes you'll take an enemy, right, and you'll make them round up all the other people because for some odd reason this enemy is polar to what you're trying to make and achieve. So you mitigate the influence that the enemy has over the project or the mass, whatever, right? But what you do in turn, though, is that you also make sure that this enemy has enough leeway to get done what they need done. So, by the brother saying that everybody pretty much, he's not saying kumbaya, but in a way, he's saying turn a blind eye until you can actually do something about it because these people, you probably need them more than you hate them right now. You see what I'm saying? Because they're in a position to actually do something for you where you can't do it for yourself. And that is so, it's a dangerous concept. It's really a very dangerous thing. You know, they call it being a double agent sometimes. You know what I'm talking about? Or just playing both sides. This is why I always say that trying to play both sides, you don't play both sides. You stick to your one side because it's always like one of those things where I can't be the only person who's thought this. You know what I'm saying? I know it. I know for a fact I'm not the only one who's thought this in my mind. But the reason why I say going forward is because from Pan Africanism to the whole fact that that our people are different. These are things that people have to really embrace and say, okay, well, why is it so important that we embrace it and or get rid of it, but embrace the idea of letting go? And it's because a lot of the groups of people who like the only guy who has never moved on what he said is Dane Calloway. I can honestly say that about the dude. You know what I'm saying? I can't really think of too many times where I can think of him being like hypocritical to his point. Do I think everything he says is right? No, but do I understand the projection that he's going at? I totally do. And I know that everything he's saying is not wrong, but it's just we have to agree to disagree on intellectual levels based on the fact that I know that all black people aren't the same. You follow what I'm saying? And that's the bottom line. I don't worry about what. Once again, this is why I say that certain people can't represent us. And and I'm not speaking on a dude like Dan Calloway, but this is why I'm so picky about guys who aren't the people speaking up for the people, and this is why I'm so thorough about making sure that I show my face. You know what I'm saying? You can still see it, and it don't matter. You know what I look like. And there's a lot of cats who might try to downplay that, but really there's a lot of niggas you ain't never seen, bro, who talk that good shit, but you don't really know if they're a nigga or not. And they might have spent hella years practicing talking and acting and sounding black and not be black at all. So this is why it's so dangerous to do what you do. Not you in particular, bro, but just anybody. What I'm saying, who's gonna swoop it up later? Because I mean, let me say two things real quick, man. One, black people have to let go of the fact that we're all not the same. If they let go, if they just let that go, the progress that would be made in the black community would be phenomenal. Okay, because then we would understand that we have to cut ties with just certain kinds of people because they're not us. Number one, and number two, they'll never be able to conform to a level of thinking and activity that's conducive to what we're trying to achieve. We'll realize that, you know. I'm not trying to call the Most High a name where in which he's already distinguished in a book that other people who claim to be so-called chosen people themselves got their religion from. So I don't have time to call the Most High a name that's a corrupt name. That's the wrong name, and I don't have, and I have even less time to distinguish that with the person who spent less time than I have just on a basic reading note, you know, of trying to get to know what it is that's called the scripture. I watched a brother say something very funny today. I heard a comedian say this a while back, and he compared reading the Bible to like reading the dictionary. And what's so funny about that is that people don't read the book as the book is supposed to be read. It's a historical book. But every single piece of the history was not bound together or brought together at one single time. So when the kingdoms of Judah or Israel, you got to understand they have different kings. So they have different scribes within their kingdoms. So in order to get all that information together the way it is now, and that shit didn't just happen overnight, dog. These were beefing kingdoms. Then you're talking about the people get separated, taken away. Israel, minus Benjamin, Judah, and a certain band of the Levites who were brought back into the land. Um, they all get taken away by the Assyrians. This is why I say that the Assyrians pretty much saved the Israelites, because what the Chaldeans do later on, just smash on everybody, you know what I mean? No holds bar. And that's why you seeing that Nebuchadnezzar was Chaldean is so important. However, let's get past all that and just speak to the point of people need to know that within the scripture, you have these characters who for some odd reason for people's betterment. I don't know if it's their betterment, if it makes them better right then and there, but they think it's their betterment, and they try to say that, well, these characters are not are not actually from this text, but from this text. With all that said and bar, the Dead Sea Scrolls supplements and support all these things that's written down within the scripture. So a person loses the argument there, and the fact that black people are so willing to capitulate, right, acquiesce, whatever you want to say, to some of the weakest arguments that I've ever heard in my life, as far as how the scripture is supposed to be read and interpreted, what's popping, bro? Um, I just feel like it's just one of those things that until folks have clear understanding, you know, we're not gonna have any kind of common ground, because how can I tell a dude like Dan Calloway or Lex Will, who believes that white people are black, you know what I mean? Craziest shit I ever heard, you know. Uh, uh, I mean, how can you say that white people are black when they don't look nothing like black people? It's one thing to say that some of them have remnants of the Aboriginal or Native people of the lands that they infested and invaded and took over. One thing to say that. It's another thing to say that they are these people. It's a disrespect to the culture. It's a disrespect to the understanding. You know, um, um, I mean, this outside of guys like him, you have a Sand Eater or SA, whatever that guy is. You got a General SETI. You got the Black Magic dude. You got a Red Pill, Blue Pill guy. You got a gentleman, I should say. I mean, there's so many different cats in YouTube that I will go and I will listen to just to listen to them. You know, outside of like the Tommy Sotomayor's that people don't even give a chance to because they think he's a total washout. But you got to really listen to these people to understand what they're saying. But the point is, this is that they all believe what they believe vehemently. And I can't change any one of these people's minds into thinking or seeing the shit the way that I see it or think it or believe it. It's really kind of just based on how it is that I'm going to take it as a man, and then what's the word I'm looking for? projected into my real life. So if I read the scripture and then it says something about, not shaving corner of my beard, beard, right? Then that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. That's just it's life. Fucking you can't change that. So I don't know. I think that people have tried too hard for too long to do things that that's not in their favor. You know what I'm saying? Um, fucking scripture tells people to put oil on their hair. The only people I know on earth that actually need to oil their hair, it's really, are people with hair like this. But there's people who were native in this land that we live in that have straight hair with a skin tone like mine, and they grow facial hair, right? There's people who have straight hair with no facial hair. There's people who have bushy like hair with no facial hair. There's people with bushy like hair with facial hair, but the bushy hair is a lot finer. So it doesn't need to be oiled in that sense. But it can hold the oil, but not as good as this type of hair will. It's just totally thick, totally curly. They call it coarse, but it's curly. It's as curly as your hair can get. So when you have people who can't even understand that everybody they're looking at wasn't the people, right? Everybody that they're looking at, okay, so there were no jungles in America when they got here. And some of the people that they seen that were dark skinned had straight hair. So that debunks what Elijah Muhammad told black people about Africans going into the jungle and who had straight hair at one time, because there's still black people over there with straight hair now, and their hair all bush and all up. There's been black people who've been living anyway. It debunks that all the way because they weren't living in no type of whatever climate over here. Right on. And some of them were, if you consider the people who lived in the Northwest, rainforest climate. But you had people with bushy hair and people with not bushy hair, people with facial hair, people with no facial hair. And they all knew that they were from different tribes. They all knew that they were from different tribes. And you have black people who are displaced hundreds of years trying to argue about as if they know for a fact that these guys are all the same. It's nonsense. They should be ashamed of themselves. They really should be. See, but going forward, though, this is why all the black in the world is going to be one of those. Don't worry, they done pretty much stole everything that I done ever laid out. So all the black in the world, listen for people to talk about it in its own way. When they start to distinguish that, you know what, even cats who look sort of similar, you have to really look at them. Really, you know what I'm saying? Put your 2010 bifocals all the way in, because if you don't, you might miss it. And you might not see what it is that you're actually supposed to be looking for. There's a lot of cats who don't understand that, who can't respect it. It has nothing to do with me. Um, Today, I'm 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 walking to this spot to go to this job interview. Right, this is at like 12 o'clock my time, so this is 6.5 hours ago. Mobbing on the streets. It's like 12:15, and I see this, and I'm walking 12:10, something like that. And this guy says, "Hey," he says, "Hey, sir, can I buy you lunch?" And I'm like, "I'm on my way somewhere to handle some business." I said, "Thank you, but I really appreciate it." And I said, "I really do appreciate it, sir." And I really did. But I'm looking at the dude, and most white people looking at him probably think he's a white dude. But I can tell looking at him, I'm like, "Oh, this dude's at least a quarter black. He might even be a little more than that." Like you can just tell just by looking at him. Like his features, everything, his actual skin tone compared to other white people's, everything. But it's just one of those things where how can I elevate the mindset of a person who who they'll say on one term that black people are the original people to this land, but then say on another term that these same people who now are organized or to the level have their black people have never been disorganized. Okay, they've always had to worry about crooked ass white people in this country. So when the first Aboriginals allowed the white man to come and live in this country and didn't kill them in their sleep, but later got killed in their sleep by these same white people, it's like people are trying to say that those people are the same people who came here and were on boats. And on some of the boats, listen, some of the boats got here with no problems. You know, other boats, there were total full blown revolts that went down in the water. See what I'm saying? So I have a hard time believing that that all the people who came here were genetically the same, because they all didn't have the same predisposition. And that's something that people have to look at, consider, and say, you know what, that does make sense, bro. They can't just ignore that and say, no, that don't mean nothing. No, that means something. You know, it means something to the point that you have to respect it, at least to say, okay, well, hey, if they all don't look the same and they're all not the same, when they interbreed with different people, will the children look the same, act the same, be the same? But if you're just predicating it based on a certain level of physical prowess, right? And then so-called sexual vigor, something that they base your black manhood on, not you. Um, they because every man does not have uh, the level of physical intensity in his body to go be a warrior. But every man who's a warrior doesn't have the mental capacity to be a husbandman, which is somebody who grows in a garden. So there's so many different levels of manhood that have to be respected. You know what I mean? And this is me just really just wrapping it all up just to speak to it, because they're gonna have to revisit all the black in the world. Don't worry. They might not have to look at my video, but they're going to look at the concept that I've been ranting and raving about for a long time. I told these guys Pan Africanism was dead in the dirt. They're just not starting to say it for sure out their mouth, because they're seeing. I'm talking about people who were leading voices to the so-called black folks right now. But I seen the writing on the wall years ago. Seen it. I understood that it didn't make any sense then, because I knew that all black people weren't the same. So that means that Pan Africanism in itself is a failure just on that level alone. There is no such thing as pan blackness. There's a such thing as a common core struggle where, to the so called Anglo European man's eyes, you are seen as the same, but even they know you're different. This is why in the Willie Lynch letters, which I read to everybody before, right, Willie Lynch himself distinguished the difference between certain types of Negroes. This is why this shit is so important that you read and you retain, you see? Because if if this man hundreds of years ago had the ability with his two eyes to see that all black people are not the same, right on, that means that he knew that they're not genetically the same. This speaks to several different things. See, colorism is fake. Tribalism is real, because there's people who are of different hues, who feel like they look more alike, feel like they act more alike, feel like the way that they get down is more alike, okay, who will gang up on somebody who's not like them. I've seen it happen a bunch of times. Bunch of times. Bunch of times. It's how it happens. So people are always going to get with people who, once again, they think are most like them. Because guess what? You're going to make them feel most comfortable. Right. That's a that's a common that's common ethics. But the fact that you have gentlemen who, despite their best reasoning, these niggas got hair growing up to their eyeballs. Some of them trying to tell you that their ancestors are these booty, bald faced, straight hair black people. Maybe 10 generations ago, dog, but the way you look, your people been looking the way that they ain't been looking that way. They've been looking like rough niggas probably for the last 5 or 6 generations. You see what I'm saying? And people have to understand how it takes two, maybe sometimes three whole generations, depending on how you look at it, from the parent to the actual great grandchild. But it takes 2 generations, okay, to completely wipe yourself out genetically. But if you're talking about people who look similar, breeding with one another, being forced to breed with one another, you're not going to take certain phenotypes are going to be bred in stronger than other ones. Right. This is why I stress this to y'all, man. What? I'm just saying, man, this is the truth, bro. This is the truth. Um, I can't change it. I can't make it, like I always try to not be harsh, but I understand that black people only speak one language. They speak rough, you know. It can be it can be rough, but don't let it be disrespectful. But it can still be rough. You can talk to black people rough because they need that. I the only thing I could compare it to is like a child who never ever got hurt and then they grew up in their adulthood thinking that they never get hurt, and you have to kind of like let people know, like, yo, bro, like that stuff will cut your fingers off, it'll do bad things to you. Like, there's people who grow up like that who, once again, they never experience negative things, and it's weird because black people experience some of the most negative things, and yet they still live in la la land. So I don't know, like, do I is that a mint is that insanity, astonishment, blindness of the mind, madness of the mind? Is that what that is? Maybe. It could be, because I mean, trying to explain it in any other way, form, or fashion, I just find myself kind of like really stuck on the idea that, like, there are black people who have, for all sakes and purposes, have used the deaths of other black people. Think about how many other black people have died the last couple of years, where these YouTubers use these people who died, had live streams, got money donated to them, okay, in the name of another person. Did these, with the exception of like Nipsey Hussle, whose family didn't take money from anybody, right? Eremias Askedom, with the exception of that gentleman, why didn't these guys send money to all the families of these people whose deaths they're using to make money off of? And I don't want to hear that bullshit about CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, because you can't talk about the immorality of this country and then engage in it at the highest level, even though you're only getting breadcrumbs. You know what I'm talking about? You're getting crumbs that fall on the ground. So it doesn't make it any different, and it doesn't justify it anymore, any greater. When they use the passion and the indignation of black men and black women against themselves, so much so to the point that black men and black women in they feel indebted, and they feel like it's an obligation to give to these people who've given them nothing. People say they've given them a sense of identity. Where? Based on what? Because if you have somebody like me who can shatter a person like that's whole entire perception, then they've given you nothing. I had a guy come to my comment section the other day. This is why this one's called Going Forward, because we have to act, we have to be a certain way. We can't just let people bulldog us. They can have talk of this. Like I said, they can have that word, now, but I didn't want them to take it when I first thought of it, because that's a cold one. That's the complete opposite of the activist. And 98.99% of these guys are straight up full blown talkavists. Full blown. Full blown. Niggas ain't got no physical scuffle in 20 years. Didn't say a physical fist fight, a scuffle, okay? Where they might have gotten to a little tussle with another grown man. They ain't been in one of those in 20 years. And God bless them for not. But they talk about where the soldiers at. You know what I mean? You got people who literally barely go outside. cats who can't even see their feet, and I can't help but to point them out because it's always a fat, fleshy motherfucker talking out both sides of his esophagus, you know, as about how black men should empower themselves, right on. But then on the other end, right, talk about how, well, like you still have to obey the rules of this society, and it's like, bro, the rules of this society are oppressing black people. What kind of sense are these niggas making? But because people just keep the money flowing in, they just keep the bubbly flowing, these motherfuckers can say anything and get away with it. That's why that's really one of the reasons why I'm always going so hard, because I don't understand how a group of people who single-handedly have accomplished more than any other group on this planet that we know of to this day, as far as modern history, okay, after hardcore indentured servitude, the worst the world has ever seen, know of. All right, we're not talking about Arabs mutilating and castrating folks who they felt like did them wrong 1,000 years ago. No, 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 no. We're talking about, and people who they could claim, some of them they have a legitimate relation to. No, we're talking about straight up unrelated. There is no relation. We know nothing about you. The most anybody knew about you guys was before you overran the Roman kingdom and you got rid of all the evidence and every scintilla of it that was unflattering and too truthful, so that way the people could never hold you accountable for the wickedness of your ways. Right on. Hold up. Stole everything from the Romans. Everything from black people. All right. Then enslaved black people and other black people in a land who are not even related to these black people. Tell them all that they're all the same black people. And don't nobody see the problem with that? But I. And then you got other black people who would say they never put no niggas on boats. But to this day, they get in boats that are made out of metal and come across the Atlantic. And they're going to try to tell me that they couldn't have done it in wood? Please, man. These guys are mentally fucking disturbed, for sure. How can I have been had if people still getting boats come across the Atlantic to this motherfucking day? You got people in dingy boats getting across the damn fucking Mediterranean, dog. What are you talking about? And little rickety ass, I mean, the boat could go down any moment and they're going across the Mediterranean, and you're telling me that a fully fortified we need this boat to make it with these niggers on it? And they wasn't calling us niggers just yet, but you follow what I'm saying. Do you think that they wanted those boats to go down all the time? That's an absolute absurd lie. Do you think sometimes they did nefarious evil shit? Sure, of course. But just speaking to the greed of these people, I'm gonna say that they greed sometimes can outweigh their evil. For real, for real. For real, for real. See, big plantations, the smart plantations, they didn't let their slaves just die all the time. Right on. That is a fucking happening that took place more so in the Caribbean than anywhere else. This is why they took so many black people up out of Africa, because they was just killing them off down there, y'all, in Central America and what they call South America and the Caribbean. They won't say that. They won't say that the black people here, sure, some of them are getting worked to death, but a lot of them are making way more babies than these dudes thought they could even make. This is why it became so lucrative to have a woman slave. Right on? Because it don't matter. As long as I get a buck at some point, who's gonna get her pregnant, you know what I'm saying? I can make the buck go up inside of her however many times I think that she's good for the babies. And as long as she produced one female baby, I'm good to go. My family's going to be good to go for going forward. You have to really understand the mentality of these people. This is a small plantation. So if you have a large plantation, you're playing the game of, okay, well, I'm trying to get all the weak breed ladies up out of here. I'm trying to sell all them off, get me some more bucks. I want all the best. I want my slaves to be the best. I want all my slaves to have good teeth. I want them all to talk right. This is why there's black people right now to this day, you understand? Okay, who pride themselves on speaking proper English. And I'm not saying that I'm a person like that, but I'm trying to give indication to it. All right, as to where your ancestors would have been dictate your demeanor to this day. If black people don't understand that, if they come from low down, dirty, funky, poor white trash, only owned a handful of slaves, they are dirty, funky, low down black people a lot of the time. It's just like that. It's just like that. I didn't fucking say it was right, but that's how it goes. The people who come from larger plantations normally have better manners, better etiquette, things that they passed on to their children. See, I don't have time to keep breaking this shit down to these slow ass remedial ass niggas. You understand? Because they can't fucking keep up. Yet they want to tell black people about their history and shit. It's sickening. It's fucking sickening. That's what it is. Because now you have on one end of the spectrum a false notion and misleading idea that 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 black people here in this country were worked to death. So how do you do if they're working you to death? How are you building shit and accomplishing it? And if they're working people off to death, bringing over listen, you got to understand. At some level, the ability to pass on the information to build things is killed off in all these groups of people for the most part. Why? Why? Because if you're saying that they're working all these guys to death, they're working to death the people who know how to do the jobs. Then that doesn't make any sense, bruh. That's why I try to say that American slavery is solely dependent on how black people, the strange Negro that was brought here, how they were able to pretty much stabilize the situation on virtually every plantation. And they ran the plantations for a long time. And note that slavery doesn't come to an end until white people think that, okay, I think we got it from here. I think we got a strong reign on this shit from here. You know what I'm talking about? And this was one of those things that I as a grown man, I still don't understand how it was accomplished unless on some way, shape, or form, black politicians and free blacks in the North, you know, they're all. You have to really understand. There were free Moors and free Arabs in this country since the dawn of America, who had high political office or just were high level diplomats for forever. It wasn't until like for certain clans of the Arab people who were really nothing more than dirty ass Turks, you could argue it wasn't until the actual official end of the Ottoman Empire, which is World War One. If you wanted to go on the level of 1 second, if you want to go on like the level of the Moors, then you could argue. Oh my goodness, you could argue until what's called Algeria right now. You know what I mean? Which was used to be, inhabited by people who are Moroccans. Now they're called Algerians, which is a mixed breed people of French and the true Moroccan people who are black, the Moors, the Amorites. Not every single one of them has been bred out, but a lot of them were pushed out of the area. If they weren't bred out and killed off, then they had to migrate somewhere else. So once again, the exact known identities of all these people sometimes is not known. Um, but just speaking to it, like going forward, man, like it would be good for black people to really get in touch with themselves. You know, I'm not worried about all these other cats. Yeah, I don't give a damn. I really don't care about them at all. They don't matter to me because they have a home that they can call theirs at the end of the day. You don't have a home. You don't have a country to go to. You see what I'm saying? Uh, Martin sent me the little link about the people in Africa, you know what I mean? And they, and they put the Hebrew Israelite thing in the title, but it's like Israelite will do. You can't be an Israelite without being a Hebrew. It's impossible. So you don't have to call them. You see what I'm saying? They don't have to call them Hebrew Israelites. Like the God of the Hebrews is good enough. He doesn't say the God of the Hebrews, children of Israel. You know what I'm saying? He's no God of the Hebrews, because the Egyptians understood that Chaldeans who crossed over the rivers Euphrates and stayed where were Hebrews, and they were no longer Chaldeans. Right. So the God of the Hebrews, you wouldn't need to call them Israelites. Right. One of the first times the people are considered the Jews is by I want to say King Cyrus of the Persians. And if I'm not mistaken, now I may have had it wrong. I think I'm still right that the three sheep who rebuild the temple again are like the Maccabees, but it could actually mean Benjamin, Judah, and Levi. But the only issue with that is that when the temple was built, there was a great commotion, and they said some of the people were cheering for it, right? But everybody who had seen the temple before was crying and yelling, right? And they said that folks couldn't tell the difference between the two, and so it was just known as a great uproar, pretty much, right? So the point is this, and I'll get back to the whole going forward, is that I'll have to look at both of the instances, and I'll have to hold them to the Book of Enoch and really look at it and see which pair of following events closest mirrors what the Book of Enoch says, and then I'll go with it from there. But just interesting thing that I picked up, I wanted to let y'all um, going forward though, man. Martin, you're young, bro. You need to really, really buckle down on being a black man, because ain't nobody gonna do it for you, you know. And the more you buckle down on yourself now, the easier it's gonna be to resist temptation of like laying down with chicks who are not black girls. You know what I'm talking about? It makes it easier to not end up in a situation where you give them babies. You know, um, if you take serious what I'm saying now, you won't be 23, 24 years old with a baby out there that you haven't seen pretty much since it was born. You know, and then you won't be 28 years old talking about my son will be 5 at the end of this year, and February next year will mark 5 years I haven't seen him. You see what I'm saying? Like you have to really, and sure, his mom is half black or whatever. Her dad is a black dude, whatever, whatever. But the fact that she's not really the people all the way, and she's even way less the people, because folks who were considered strange children back then, for the most part, I can contend that they were blood mixing with other black looking people. So even when you say that, I'm wrong on that level. You see what I mean? And that's something that I contend with and I cope with every day. Do I know that we have powerful genetics, strong genetics? Yeah, I know that. But do I also understand that where I put myself, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in this position if I had done what I was supposed to do. So it's just knowing what is most likely going to happen to you just based on how you do certain stuff, bro. And respecting it. If you don't respect the game, man, you're gonna be fucking hurt. You know, I mean, I love you guys to death, bro, because in either one of you guys' situations, I can see my own life that long ago with Steve just a few years ago, and with you, Martin, a whole decade. You know what I'm saying? And it's just one of those things, bro, where I can just tell you, like, yo, pay attention to you, know yourself, man. That's the most important thing you can do right now, because there's a lot of guys out here putting out a lot of false information. trying to bring black people down, trying to get them to give into things. That's why I said what I said about that dude Lex Will, man. He's a confused half breed, bro. You know what I'm saying he wants to believe that the Most High made white people, but in the scripture, the Most High God tells people not to blood mix. Right on. We can prove that fucking all these people are pretty much black. Right on. The question is who's not black? And then with that being said, you can't even say Gentiles aren't black because guess what? If Gentiles had one way that they looked, only one distinct way, it would have fucking given us a physical description of the Gentiles. If every Gentile had blonde hair and blue eyes, dog, it would have told us that with white skin. There's no way. I just have a hard time believing that um, the scripture what tells people how to how to treat a certain animal. Like, for example, like if a bull gores somebody, right, and it's pretty much like total accident, right, and it's the first time that it's happened. The bull gets killed. You know, person tries to make reparation, right? But let's say it's not the first time that bull's killed somebody. They if the bull only kills another person's bull, the guy has to pay back. He has to kill his bull and pay back the bull, right? Pay back for the bull. The bull kills a person, the dude and the bull get put down. See what I'm saying? There's there's levels to this shit, you know. Uh, but people have to read it and understand it. That is, the scripture is case specific. You know, it tells you it tells people how old certain animals are to be when they're to be sacrificed, right? It says what animals can't be sacrificed at a certain age when you're sacrificing. I have a hard time believing it wouldn't have told us what a Gentile looks like. Very hard time. If it would, if in the New Testimony it pretty much tells people that the guy Yeshua or Jesus, the Jesus guy, like I like to say, is black, then why wouldn't it have given a physical description to Gentiles? It's unfathomable. A majority of the people who were living over here in so-called America, dog, were Gentiles. You want to hear that? No. Oh, no, those guys are children of Ham. They Africans. Motherfuckers is straight from Middle Earth, dog. Straight from the depths of the planet. And them dirty bastards will tell you right the fuck out of their own right out of their own dirty ass mouth. They'll tell you. Okay? If the Son Bushman people will be 100,000 and tell the whole world that they crawled up out of Middle Earth, I don't know why the rest of them can't. I know where they came from. Okay? I know where these cats come from. They're not confusing me. I'm not fooled. And I'm not convinced that they don't know who they are. I'm sure that most of them know who they are. That's the scary part. Is that I'm sure that most of the dudes who are Middle Earth dudes, who are fucking Gentile dudes, know it. They know it. It's not even a question to them. It's like they know that shit. But because black people who are so stupid are like they want to be anything but black, you know. They want to be Egyptian. And not just no, they don't want to be no black Egyptian, no, they want to be a white Egyptian. Right on? They don't want to be a black Greek or a black Roman, they want to be a white Greek and a white Roman. You know. If it has to be black, they don't want to be that. They want to be Chinese. They want to be not black natives, not none of the black anything, not no black Chinese, no, not nothing. Okay, only the white version or the lighter skin version. Okay, the whitest it gets. These guys are sick. You have guys who will try to show pictures of people who you know aren't black people, and will try to force onto you that these people are our people, or the Nubian, not the Nuwabian, the dirty, dirty Nuwabian. Yep, yep. But my favorite is guys who like to call themselves Nagoose. I'm a Nagoose. It's depressing. It really is. That's why I love talking to you guys because at least I get to get it off my chest. You know, because I will digest and I will devour a lot of what these guys say, and there'll be days where I have ideas for videos, but it's like I've just heard so much of what they have to say, I really don't even know what to say. You know, um, I want you guys to be safe out here, man. It's going to get more dangerous before it gets, any kind of better for us. It's going to get more and more and more dangerous. I know for a fact you're down there in Cali, you're down there in Texas. You guys, I mean, I'm in a racist, like a low key super racist state, but as racist as some of these people are, not all of them are like head over heels trying to hate you. You know what I'm saying? Like they put a muzzle on it, so to speak, because they're realizing, you know, without people that look like that, I'm probably not gonna have very much for very long. It's starting to come to some of these motherfuckers. Like they're really starting to realize, like they're not gonna make it without Mark Netta. They're not gonna make it without Steven Jackson. They're not gonna make it without you guys. Or how can they? You guys are the backbone. Because Martin going to school is because these places can rest easy. It's because Steve steadily looks for work that they can hire all the people, ahead of Steve, just like they did with me, ahead of me, so that way they can say, well, you know what, we're going to put this other guy to work before him because there's a good chance if it doesn't work out with this guy, he'll still be looking for work in a little while, and maybe we get to snag him up. But maybe that's it. That's it. I don't want to do that no more with this place. And they're starting to realize like we don't have that option no more because they're sending all these fucking immigrants back. I'm trying to tell y'all, going forward, I'm a cold ass nigga. Huh? The way I wrap the shit up. Look, going forward, they're sending so many of these motherfuckers home. So I'm like, Steve, if shit don't start to work out there, man, you got to get up out here, bro. You got to get somewhere. You got to get anywhere that will get you a job, bro. You feel me? You can't stay in a place that does not want to hire you. That's stupid. I tell white people how I feel all the time, and I still have a job. And it's not because they're not willing to not hire me. It's because some of them just respect the fact that I'm not gonna bite my tongue trying to make a paycheck. I'm not gonna sit here and kiss your ass just because I want to get paid. No, getting paid is not that important, dog. Right on. It's never that important. But I got to sell out my most basic scruples, my most basic values. I don't have to do none of that shit. Nobody has to. And and to speaking to you, Martin, man, because you're so young, bro, and I keep speaking to that, man. But bro, you're unless you just grew up, super duper rough family, you got a really good chance, man, to keep your slate clean and to keep yourself righteous and so much more pure, bro, than other people are, man. And if you don't appreciate it, it'll be when you lose what purity you have right now and realize, like, man, I was really on another level. So it's like maintain that, bro, because it's you get it once in your life, you know. And most dudes would encourage you to fucking throw it away, for a one night stand with the chick whose body, you know what I mean, is flattering. But outside of that, they don't have anything useful for you. You know what I'm saying? They don't have anything fruitful for you, man. Maintain that, bro. Keep your righteousness, bro, the best you can, because the more you end up in situations where you feel like you're chipping away at your soul and you feel like you're chipping away at the best parts of you, the less you're going to be willing to share the best parts of you because you're going to feel like everything I say is tainted. Right on? And there's an asterisk next to it because I'm not doing these things that I'm saying. You know, no, Martin willing. You feel me? Martin willing. Most High ain't got nothing to do with you making a fucked up decision, other than making it a possibility that you could make a fucked up decision, putting it right before you and say, okay, I think he's going because he's betting on Martin. He's banking on you. Right on? He's banking on you to make it, to do the right thing. So he says, shit. He said, I'm gonna bet on Marty. You feel me? Because he gonna get me right. He gonna do it right. And that's how you have to believe that he's looking at you, bro. He's not looking at you like, oh, if I let him do the right thing, then he'll do the right thing. No, nah, bro. He's like, if that man chooses to do the right thing based on everything within his body, his ability to make decisions, then he will come out on top or he will come out on bottom. And only you ultimately know if you failed yourself or not. Only you really know that ever. Can't nobody ever tell you if you failed yourself. Nobody knows that. Only you know that, bro. That's why it's so important for people to really know themselves, because the feeling that you get when you're successful, you have to know what it feels like in big doses and in small doses, so that way you know how to appreciate the things that you do and the things when you don't feel so successful. You have to know what that feels like in large doses and smaller doses as well, and then know how to temper that feeling when it's onset. You know, you can't feel like you let yourself down because things don't go your way. But at the same time, you can't feel like you succeeded just because you didn't get caught red-handed. You can't gauge your success based on what you don't get or based on what you get away with. That's not a good way to gauge success. It's a poor way to gauge success. But unfortunately, we live in a society that's how people look at things sometimes. And I'm talking about, bro, people who were in high places. You know, that dude Jeff Epstein, I'm sure he gauged most of his success by being able to sexually abuse those girls, and when he wasn't caught up for it, he wasn't caught up for it. You see what I'm saying? But boom, how successful do you think he felt? Whether he was murdered in his fucking cell or when he hung his own damn self, he didn't feel too successful. When he pulled the goodbye, cool world, right, and jumped and ended it and broke his neck, right? He didn't feel too successful then, did he? He didn't feel successful. I know he didn't. He felt like a pile of fucking hot excrement. But that's what he deserves because he based his life on what he didn't get caught doing. This is a fact. Weak ass people like that guy, bro, they deserve it. So what I'm saying in long or short term is know that there's guys and gals who are going to try to coax you into shit that may at the time not seem like a bad idea, may even be seeming like something righteous, but you may get engaged in it and realize like, oh, this shit is full blown fucked up. But bro, you may be at a disadvantage. You may feel like I'm outnumbered. Uh, I don't have a vehicle here. Whatever, whatever, whatever. All the different shit. That shit changes how a person acts, how they respond to a crisis, how they respond to peer pressure, you know, and just don't be a victim, man, of your own desire and willingness to be accepted by your peers. No matter how long you've known somebody, how much you love them, what you think you would do for them, no, or all that. It's all bullshit when it comes down to how you should see yourself in the world's light. Going forward, gentlemen, I gotta say this right here, and then I'm pretty much done. I feel good about it. So just wanted to just get a whole bunch of little things off my chest. Feel good talking about it, but I have to bring this up. We're not gonna have anything as black people until we all stand back and we play our part. And the person who ain't supposed to do anything, who's doing the most, when they stop, and when the person who's not doing anything, who's supposed to be doing the most, when they get involved, things are going to change for us. Until that day, we're going to be stuck where we're at. If you can accept that and get over it, it's going to be all right. You can't accept that, can't get over it, chances are you're not going to be all right. I just want you to know your people are your people, and their people are their people. Um, our people are our people. Fucking man, can't nobody take that from us. Man, I called my uncle. His mother passed last week, and we were talking today. And he was just talking about how you have to be so grateful for the moment. You know, you really have to. I mean, man, I've almost died on several different occasions in my life, so it's different for me. I'm so grateful for every moment. You know, be I mean, totally live in the moment. Be aware of later on. You know what comes later, right? And weigh it into your decision of now. But live in the moment. Be totally in the moment. So I'm not telling you not to live. Just telling you just to be aware that there's going to be people who want you to do things in the moment that you didn't have to do in the moment, and you still would have had a ball. You still would have had just as good a time, not doing any of that bullshit. Don't let none of these niggas talk you into doing no fucking dope. None of that shit, dude. Right on. It's not cool, pimp. These cats who fucking do cocaine at parties and pop ecstasy and shit like that, and do Molly and shit like that. You know, that's just not cool, bro. I've never done that. You know, all I've ever done is smoke weed and drink. Tried shrooms once, peyote once, a little bit of salvia once. And that's just me keeping it 1,000. And the peyote and the salvia and the shrooms, I would tell you all of it if you can. You know what I'm saying? If you wanted to, just stay away from all that stuff. But you're a grown man. You know, you're a grown man. But you know, I smoke. You feel me? Because I want to, and I've already made my mind up that until the Most High gets back, I have nothing to really lose or gain from it. I don't. You know what I'm saying? It's never made me. It's never made me lazy. It's never made me stupid or slow. It's never did nothing like that to me. Um, but I totally understand that people don't like smoking or whatever. It's all whatever. You know what I mean? So I respect everything that people do, but I'm just letting you know, family, like don't get caught up in that shit, man, because I already know you got little homies down there in Texas who do some wild shit, you know, and all it takes is going to one little house party with one little female that you like, and you might not even know that she do Molly and she do this and she do that, and you feel me? And you're like, man, I really want to get with this chick. I really want her to like me, and you know what I'm saying. Before you know it, my nigga, you fall into that type of bullshit. You know, like it's bro. I mean, it happens. You know, and I speak it to you because you're more likely to end up in a house party than I am. You know, even though I know you have really good sense, uh, you're just younger than me, so you just have younger. You know your friends who are older. Most of them aren't my age who are older, so you know what I mean, and they don't think like I do. Um, so once again, the idea that you could be presented in a situation that that tests your ethics and just your own fiber as a man, sure. But let me just go ahead and give you this warning: cocaine, heroin, meth, DMT, mushrooms, all that shit has killed a motherfucker, bro. You know what I'm saying? They all have a recorded instance where it's killed somebody. You know, their first time doing it. You know, so it's like that's another reason why I'm like, don't do it because you might not know how your body reacts to that shit, bro, and that could be it. You know, and I man, that's That's the last thing I ever want to hear. You know what I'm saying? I would be hella sad for a fucking long time behind something like that. But that's why knowing yourself is so important, bro, and appreciating yourself. You know, am I body policing by telling my man to not do hardcore serious drugs or do it, or is loving my people enough to say don't do that? I don't have to tell Steve that. Steve knows better not to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because he's been around these types of niggas like that. You know, and not to say that you haven't, because there's a lot of dudes who are super duper young, man, who seen a bunch of shit. But this is why it's important for you to really know yourself, Martin, because you're going to be coming into a time, bro, where people, because you got so much light in you, bro, because you got so much good in you, bro, they're going to want to try to take that good away, family. And I'm just telling you, you know, because you got so much good, fam, so much. That's normally when people really want to snatch that light, my nigga, because they see that you have light, bro, and they're like, fuck that, you know. Somebody, nigga, somebody stole their light from them. You feel me? 10, 20 years ago when they was a little kid, a little babe, and they haven't had no light since, and so now they look to take the light of everybody they see has light around them. There's motherfuckers who are like that, bro. As sick as it is, Steve, it's real. It's real life. See, see, Steve done been there, done that, got shirts for the dumb shit. You know, he could probably tell you how that shit feel way more than I ever could. I never did none of that. But that's just one of those things, man. You know, Steve could not be here right now, dog. He could be dead than a motherfucker. One of them people who OD'd on codeine and Molly because of a fucking goddamn rap song, you know. And that's why I'm saying, bro, like stressing, like a nigga knowing yourself, fam. You know, Steve knows himself better than that now, but it's easy to get caught up. It's easy to get caught up, family. You know, and I'm not trying to preach to you. I know you're grown. I know you know that. I know you know shit already, but I just have to harp on it while I got your ear, so that way, you know, and any other little young cats who come through here, my niggas, so that way they understand, like, you know, take care of yourself. You know, the reason why I have been talking about Chicago and the likes lately, uh, I'm working on a real conspiracy theory. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all the general gist is that I do believe that CIA and FBI black ops may be operating clandestine units within these urban neighborhoods, and and it's a believable. It's very believable now. It's very plausible now that they are responsible for a number of these homicides and have been for a very long time. Oh yeah, of course, man. The love is real, bro. They don't hurt nobody to remind nobody. But I just wanted to let y'all know that about these interurban places. You know, it's the reason why I haven't really been talking about no Detroit or nothing like that because I really there's this writing on the wall. There's this writing on the wall that that's screaming to me that says to me, um, "Hey Meech, you do know." Psst, you know what I mean? And then it carries on. So it's like, um, okay, so check this out. Some of the weapons that they used to get off of these dudes in the neighborhoods that they were, you know, doing raids in. You know, guys used to accuse cops of planting weapons and shit like that on them all the time. You know, I just think it's weird that black people don't see how it's no different. The police officers were shooting and killing people at will. This is why black dudes were blasting cops back then, bro. Because these motherfuckers is just rolling up, shooting at people, bro. And then they want to cry wolf when they get their asses beat. Oh, this is why these gangbangers aren't supposed to have weapons because all teared up and shit, you know, and they be fucking mad about it. Of course, young Bruce, young Bruce Leroy. You feel me? You know, and the Shogun of Harlem, my nigga, show enough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's trying to steal the blow. You feel me? He said name the designated place and the designated time. You feel me? And I would designate his ass. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I just want y'all to stay alive, bro. I want both of y'all to stay alive, dude. I want all the young people, all the older people, everybody who watches this later, just to really be safe. But I want y'all two niggas, man, to really keep your heads up, bro. You know, because it's it's really, really, really difficult right now, man, for people, bro, to just keep a positive grip on the world, and the more you allow yourself to become negative, the the less chances you're gonna have of what I'm looking for. The less chances you're gonna have of like a possible comeback. You know. Oh, I've been an old man. You know. They used to say I was a pundit. I like that you called me a sage. Oh yeah, I'm working on it, Martin. They don't know. Come a long way, bro. Patience has obviously developed, but really this last year of going through all the stuff that I've been going through has really forced my patience to mature in a way that it probably wouldn't have because I wouldn't have been forced to mature that way. You see what I'm saying? So it's always a blessing, man, when the Most High God um, puts us in a position to change everything that needs to be changed. You know, but I got a couple more minutes for you knuckleheads, man, and then I'm gonna make me some juice, get ready to lay down for a couple hours. Been up all day, got a lot on my mind. Oh, he'll be okay. He'll be all right. He ain't missed nothing. You know, he ain't missed nothing. Gentlemen, going forward, just remember that there's going to be people who try to say that other people are all the same. All y'all are all the same. We're all the same. And I've been contending to y'all for just to point out to these guys basic physical differences, physical structure differences, and have them to explain, like, look, how did they get like this? And there were no white people before. No, it'll come up later, bro. You'll be all right, my nigga. Calm down. This guy Steve is too funny. He'll have YouTube trying to flag his account for the hate speech. Uh oh. Look at Tammy. She didn't just bopped it. She's so funny. What's up, sister? I'm like, I got like 2 minutes left. And she's like, nah, go ahead and stretch that out for a couple more minutes. So a quick recap, Tammy. Pretty much all these pro black dudes, Pan African dudes, are like years behind me. Uh, what else? Um, Pro black guys way behind. Immigrants who are legal going to be having their lives made into living hells in a little bit. What else? A couple other things, but pretty much just black people staying out of the way, staying out of trouble. You know. However, though, I think I'm about to just mob out in a little bit, y'all. Oh, one of these days, y'all are gonna have to like exchange numbers. You know what I'm saying? Y'all people, you two are in the same state. It's crazy that you guys have never had a conversation outside of like the internet. Awkward. Amazing. Just like Andre and Martin. Hey man, listen. The last thing I want you to do is go and if you drop all that stuff. Look, oh man, I gotta think of a way to do that. You do what you do, but all I can say to that is like the the actual freaking reverberation could be something that is unforeseen. You know what I'm talking about? Um, I don't know how much pull any of these guys have with YouTube. Um, that's the reason why I never really actually put my own links of my own videos in Scribe's comment sections ever. Yeah, here's Steve go. He telling them to go for it. This nigga Steve is wild. Steve, did you hear what I just said? Steve, did you hear me? Go for it anyway, Martin. Don't listen to me. But and I'm serious, go for it. But I'm just saying, like, just be mindful. Just be mindful of whose platform you're doing that shit to, because some of these motherfuckers have pull, dog. All right, like real pull. Like, uh, uh, this guy named Steve Banoon. He has a channel, Israeli News Live. He has like a bunch of subs. I went over there gangbanging on them one time. This dude is the reason why the rapture, the white heaven, the white heaven, the rapture that already happened. He's the reason they pulled my shit. You feel me? He's the reason they pulled my shit down. Now, mind you, dog, I posted no links of my videos in there. This guy must have went to the channel, looked for some shit that was flaggable, and was like, okay, you know what I mean? And then saying something about the rapture. And you gotta realize, bro, they had already flagged the video and called the video inappropriate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, see, yeah, he's too much. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Steve Schmuckatelli. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but anyway, you do what you do, bro. I'm not gonna discourage you from doing that. I'm just saying be mindful of where you do it at, because there's gonna be a lot of people who I'm not gonna say that people will or won't do it, won't come check it out, but it's just like once you spread that sort of information and you put it on, let's say, somebody's channel who might have a lot more information than mine, you're putting yourself, not just me, but you're going to put yourself in the crossfires, right? Because man, I mean, there's uh, these internet streets are semi-real, pimp, because they can fuck with things that you don't even realize they can bother, like your ability to just navigate. I'm not sure if you use Instagram or use Twitter or use anything else like that, right? But for any kind of cross-platform uses that you may be engaged in, there's no way of telling how involved all these government people. You know what I'm saying? Good for you. Perfect. There you go. There you go. You do whatever you like then. You do whatever you like. Oh no, this shit is real, pimp. Bro, those cyber streets are real, pimp. You know what I'm saying? I heard somebody say the Twitter streets one time, and I was cracking up, and I was like, they really mean these cyber streets, these internet streets, boy. You feel me? And boy, they will get you every time. There have been people who have had their lives ruined on the internet. Ruined. People who've killed themselves because their lives are ruined on the internet. Not that I would ever do anything like that, but it's just that's how detrimental this type of shit is. And like you never know, bro. You dropping all the black in the world in somebody's comment section who has like 1 million subs, like, and then let's say the comment gets like 20 likes, and then the video gets that many more views, or that it's like the one thing I don't want is people bringing arguments up that they don't even understand. Because I'm coming from a totally different point of view. They don't realize I'm coming from a biblical. I'm literally coming from a biblical point of view about black people, and it's biblical. You know. Oh man, they might have shut him down again, but he'll be back. He might not be able to upload, but he uploaded some shit not too long ago about Cory Booker. It might have been the Cory Booker video, dog. You feel me? I'm gonna have to look it up because when they put him in YouTube jail, this must have been recent because he just uploaded the video this morning and it was funny. It was about Cory Booker at a bar mitzvah. You know. Uh. Anyway, let me stop, man. I'm on some nigga shit, but the point is this: be careful about where you put the information. Because the last thing you need, still, even when you have a different dummy account, this, that, and the other, the last thing you need is, well, the last thing I need is pretty much for schmucks that I've never heard of. Yeah, he has been in and out of the joint. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Roger Spice is under close supervision. Oh, well, that's how they're going to get you every time, ultimately. Is they're going to make sure that you don't have a rotating IP address, and once they can isolate that you don't have a rotating or what's the word? What's it called? It's another word for it, but it's pretty much to where your IP address changes, and it'll go from country to country. But once they can determine that you're not doing none of that, they say, well, shit. See, but it's not just VPN. It's like. Because I know, you know what I mean. There's the virtual. There's the. What is it? Oh my goodness. What is it? What is it called though, sister? Because it's really based on your server more than anything else. I just heard you when I said go for it. I was way behind. Excuse me. You need to get on what? Switching up the IP. Look, bro. Once you start doing that, once you start changing your IP address and shit like that, they start watching your content that you're uploading even more because the only people who are doing that are people who are uploading content that they know could potentially be flagged just because of the way that it is. Like, I got a couple of pieces right now that I'm trying to figure out how to get them edited to where I know they won't get flagged. Because I got one where I'm going to pretty much come at Black Gentiles for their treachery. You know what I mean? Called The Stranger Within. And on The Stranger Within, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to go all the way in, you know, and there's gonna be a lot of uncomfortable things that people have to endure, but it's gonna be one of those ones where I'm gonna get way more pushback from Black people than anything else. Because a stranger within, I'm going to be able to talk about Pan-Africanism, and I'm going to be able to talk about all the Black in the world, and I'm going to be able to isolate different genus groups and different like how they're actually different species of Black people on Earth. And I'm just going to just have pictures that rotate throughout the point that's made in the video, where a guy who looks like Pascal Siakam, you're not going to tell me that Pascal Siakam is related to me, dog. Pascal Siakam don't even look like he's related to Serge Ibaka, let alone Kawhi Leonard. You feel what I'm saying? Pascal Siakam looked like this nigga jumped fresh out the middle of the planet. Okay, that's what Pascal looks like. Okay, and I'm not dissing him. I'm not saying that the dude can't hoop. He can hoop, but he looks like a straight Middle Earth dude. All right, no matter what they tell me. You know what I'm saying? And then you got guys like I can go to like what's his name? Andre Iguodala. You guys know that ain't no regular Black American name. You know what I mean? But he looks more like what? Like black people. People have to understand, man. It's it's bigger than what they think it is. You know, how many Benjamites you think I think got over to America, or any of the other groups of people who made it with the known larger groups of black people who would have been under the banister of being a Canaanite, whether they were a Canaanite, an Amorite, a Jebusite, an Evite, an Ardukite, a Hittite. What else? I know there's one more that I'm missing. But anyway, the point is that they can't prove that all these people who are big black people are Israelites. Some of them may be Israelitish, but there's no way that every single one of those guys is bona fide from the tribes. The scripture says that the stranger will get high above thee. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to break down why most of the guys who, like, when they're, I'm going to break down why Michael Vick was brought so low, okay? And why now you have quarterbacks who would have never made it without Michael Vick. Can you dig it? Are now going to get paid off for what he done. I'm not saying. I mean, like I know dudes like Kyler Murray, who look just like Kyler. I have a homeboy who looks just like Kyler Murray. He for all intents and purposes, he's a brother. His daddy's a black dude. His mom is mixed. He looks just like a black person. I'm not saying that's not. I'm not saying that's Kyler Murray's story, but he looks just like he comes from like a person who's has one parent that has admixture and then one black parent. And the reason why I point this out is because even this person is the stranger within. Right on. He's not gonna. Your genes determine how the fucking dirty bastards in the spirit world treat you. I won't get too far into the video, but Spectra is 99% of how we live. And because the evildoers who control everything can smell, can look, can sense that you were not of a certain gene stock, right? Not even a little bit of it, or way less of it than the other people who are contending, they have no choice but to make it like this. See, I'm about to break them down, shotgun style. But it's not going to be unfair. It's going to be fair. You see what I'm saying? Uh, I have to do it. If I don't do it, then how else can I explain a guy like Tiger Woods to people? How else can I explain a guy like Russell Wilson to people? Or Colin Kaepernick? Right on? Or somebody who's maybe a little bit partially the people himself, like a Cam Newton, even though Cap is bearded and has a cap fro and all that bullshit, we still know his mom is a white chick. Right on? Whereas Cam Newton's mom is a black woman whose people probably aren't very, you know what I'm saying, endowed with a facial hair. Because we know that his father, Cecil Newton, if you've ever looked at pictures of, this is why knowing your shit is so important. Right on? His father is a fully bearded black man. Run that back. These are the things that people have to understand, that they pick and choose who they want to get to that level. Or they allow you to get to a certain level. And they'll put people above you, can you dig it, who wouldn't even have the chance to get there unless you had done it first. People forget Michael Vick was the first athlete in American sports, if I'm not mistaken, especially football, with like $120 million contract. Like he was like it was unheard of for a fucking football player. You know what I mean? I can't think of too many basketball contracts before that were $100 million. I can't think of too many baseball contracts before that were $100 million. Michael Vick broke the ceiling for athletes, all kinds of athletes. If it wasn't for Michael Vick, they wouldn't even people. But once again, all these people who are designate black, right, have been able to ride the coattail of a person who didn't even get to enjoy the fullness of what it is that he done. That's neither here nor there. There's a reason why Michael Vick was brought low. There's a real reason that man was brought low. Can't wait to talk about a whole bunch of this stuff. The Most High God said that his people are few. So there's no way that there's just a crap ton of Israelites running around in America, or a crap ton in Central America, or a crap ton in South America, or a crap ton in Africa, or anywhere that they want to consider the Middle East. It's impossible. Highly illogical. Yeah, good old Mandingo business. But you have to realize though, it's this is going to be my chance to expose the Eskimo Joes of the Black society. Come on. Did you hear me? Right. Eskimo Joe, who now got an afro, right? Now he Afro Joe. His hair ain't straight no more because he's been bred in for a couple generations. But he still has certain genetic predispositions that he doesn't agree with the people on. He feels differently than the people about certain things. This is why he will never conform to a level of righteousness that people can even say that's righteous. Come on. Anyway, my brothers and my sisters, because I got to get the stuff ready for y'all, because I got to get a lot of stuff ready for you guys, because I start work next Friday officially. So I want to get at least most of this video done by the end of this week, and then have it probably out there by Monday or Tuesday next week. You know, I probably really won't start my process for it for real until Wednesday. But I start tonight with just trying to pick out some of the pictures or the theme of the pictures that I want to go with. I already have like the template ready. I have some of the pictures, but I don't have like the robust number of pictures that it's going to take to deliver this message. And it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be in the gizzards, you know, because I'm just getting tired of taking it on the chin. You know, I'm getting tired of dudes telling me that Aboriginal people and black people, that's y'all, that's your people. Those are your ancestors. They didn't bring y'all over here in those ships. Hey, look, dude, you're one man trying to go against what? Not one, not two, but we're talking about thousands of historians, some of whom have no reason to tell this story. In fact, it would do them great benefit to tell a lie. And they're like, no, we're not going to lie about that. Yeah, they brought black people over there by ships. Yeah, they used to toss them off the boats by the hundreds because a few of them were sick. Toss them off by the hundreds into the oceans to become shark food. What? What? They think that shit that happened in Amistad was fake? That's real life, dog. But that was downplayed in Amistad because it should have been boats all swimming together, throwing off sick niggas, just getting rid of them. That would have gave you the motherfucking sheer horrifying reality that black people were in. Chicks getting raped, dudes getting raped. Oh, that would have set the shit in motherfucking goddamn concrete picture for that ass. But don't worry though, I got something for these motherfuckers since they want to play that game. I'm a prove on how weak and docile these people here were already before, okay, and how wicked they were for trying to play one against the other to gain favor with the white man, okay? And it's the same mentality that you see with these people right now to this day on TV. They act the same. That's why I don't trust them. I hope they ain't ready, Martin. You feel me? I'm ready to wipe these niggas up. You feel me? And get rid of them like a dirty ass wet one, bro. Straight up. Get out of here. These people are nasty, sick, and disgusting. Man, they are. They are. Once again, they are something else. I like to say, filthy, nasty, disgusting in that order, but they are. They are nasty and sick, man. In their minds, bro, they are just they're evil. They're ill. They're off. These dudes are off for the most part. A couple of them have their minds right, but the majority of these dudes are literally like they're off, y'all. You got to realize these are the same. These dudes contend to this day that white guys used to rape black women, this, that, and the other. They claim to this day that Loving versus Virginia was so that way black women and the woman, whatever her name was, Loving, that chick, right? Her and her husband. She was a quadroon, by the way. Mind that fact. They tried to say that was so that way black women could marry white dudes. But who else other than Meeks is going to say that the chick was a quadroon? She's not even really the people. And there's been way more black dudes to marry white chicks than there have been black. There have been more black dudes to marry white chicks than there have been black women to have married out altogether. Okay? Run that for a second. And you can go look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. Niggas want to say whatever the fuck they want to say. If these chicks were bed wenches the way that dudes claim that they were, I know there was way more bed bucks than these niggas will ever admit. Anyway, if these chicks were bed wenches that claim that they were, why aren't there just way more black women with white dudes? And why is every single time I see a black chick with a white dude, she look embarrassed? I see black chicks with mixed dudes, and sometimes they look embarrassed. And I'm like, he looks like he's a mixed dude. He looks more nigga than not. And the chick will still look like, can't believe I got caught with this dude. Now, I'm only saying that because that's what I see. When I see black dudes with the white chick, they don't ever look like they're embarrassed. They look like, shit, I came up. They look like they won the lotto. When he with an Asian chick or whatever, the black dudes you don't ever get the feeling that they're embarrassed about being with the woman that they're with. Never. There's a sense of pride, you could even argue. See, the reason why I have to go here is because the same cats, for the most part, who are being put above the people are people who aren't, listen, so many of these dudes are not the people, okay? And they're breeding out. And they're giving the real people the impression that it's okay to breed out. Come on. How wicked is it? Because the stranger within you shall get high above thee, right? They shall be the head and thou shalt be the tail, right? So if they're the head and we're the tail, just imagine that for a moment. That means that we're going to get to see what they do. And the tail follows the head, not the other way around. Now, every once in a while, you do see a dog chase his tail. Now, you could argue that that's the innovativeness, the creativeness of black people, no matter what. I'll go for that. But at the end of the day, that's still the tail and that's still the head. You see what I'm saying? And when people really appreciate the dynamic that there are groups of strangers. It's not just one type of stranger. There's multiple types of strangers. But the stranger must look like us to be within us. And they're higher than us. Man, this shit is so deep, y'all. Can you dig it? They are higher than us. They're not They're not even they're nowhere close to the same level of downtrodden that we are. So no matter how poor you are as a black person, they're less poor than you. See what I'm saying? And I mean, like, so even if you're rich, the stranger is more rich than you. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're always going to be ahead of you because they're the stranger. The Most High God made it like that. Come on now. Y'all need to get your act right. You need to start looking at these people for who they are. Start understanding. That's why they have it going on. That's why you worked your ass off for all those years. This person didn't, yet they got it, and yet you don't. You know what I'm saying? It happens like that. Steve, this is why I shunned that decision you made all those months ago to help that one dude get hired on for a job. You know what I'm saying? Because not too long later, they let you go, right? Now that dude don't even look like you. Right on? He don't even look like you. Imagine had that been vice versa. But imagine if it was vice versa to where he was a black dude. Then you would be looking at the situation way different. We're like, oh yeah, they probably let me go because, right, they get higher above the people at all times. I have been so many different places and watched Africans get treated way better than me. And I'm like, dog, this motherfucker's an African, cuz. Like, nigga, my people been in this country. And I'm not knocking them for being an African. I'm knocking them for thinking that they're more intelligent, more whatever than black people. It's like, what have y'all done in your nation that, you feel me, that reckons niggas clapping for or saying that y'all did something? Nothing. But they get put above black people all the time. I got to rectify this shit. I got to rectify it. Because if I don't say nothing, well, nobody say nothing. And since I'm normally a whole year ahead of these dudes, hopefully they catch up this time and catch up before a year, right? You know, that's what we're looking for. This go through. But it's 8 o'clock, y'all. I'm gonna literally let my little timer here get to a full 2 hours, and then anytime in that 2 hour frame, I'm just gonna just boop boop and be up out of here because I feel like I've stressed what it is that I'm going to say enough, and I don't want to get too far into what I'm going to talk about in this epic that's really being put together and worked on because Andre is really the reason why I'm doing it because he was like, you need to revisit all the black in the world and the death of the doctrine, and you know it's really it's gonna be so daunting. But I will tell you guys this right here. The main villain, the arch nemesis of black people in this story is gonna be Louis Farrakhan. I'll give y'all that much. So you guys know who to look for. You know, you understand. I'm gonna go all in on Louis Farrakhan. I'm gonna show how people like him created talkavism, which is talk the most, do the least, and how talkavism has gotten so many people paid off of black people, whether they be a half breed, a quarter breed, or just a stranger who's a lookalike imposter filling in. Word, can't wait, cannot wait. I believe some of these dirty bastards that black people are giving money to right now are Egyptians, are straight up Canaanites. Uh, it's going to be one for the Chronicles of somebody because I am about to be tearing down people's history, their mindset of history. I'm going to have, pictures up while I go to all these different websites I've read before. And I'm just going to point out how I know none of the black inventors were strangers. How I know is because none of them enjoyed the fruits of their labor. Not one. How I know that they weren't the people evermore Their children didn't enjoy the fruits of their labors. Most of them didn't. A small handful of selective of black inventors' children were actually able to get. Nope, nope, can't show the screen yet. So that's why I'm gonna have to do the video. Like I'm gonna have to actually make the video and then upload it so that way people can see, and then I'll have to do another one of these until I get a paycheck for this place, which won't be for like 3 weeks. Um, I just have to just bide my time with this right here, once or twice a week doing these. And then once I get some money, I can buy one of these cheap streaming services, spend just enough money. Obviously, I won't mind spending good money to get like the right time. Yeah, I got a little job today. You know, yeah, yeah. Pat myself on the back. Anyway, uh, and it's better than all the other jobs that I could have been working because it's like they have a schedule, but everything is on call. So I only take whatever I want to work. You know what I'm saying? But the soonest available work they had was next Friday, and then I work Friday and Sunday next week, and then intermittently next week I'll check to see what they have going into the week after that, so that way I can just try to just start making myself as busy as possible. But you know, um, but this is only after going to like 5 job interviews, right? And everybody telling me they're like event specialist people, so they actually set up like high end events, So like they go in like they like change the venue. So if they do like tapestry stuff, they do drapery, they do a lot of different little stuff, but pretty much just setting up like grandiose venues for events, you know, nothing special, but a job, and it's nice. I mean, like the work they do is nice. I should say, you know what I mean. They do nice work. I like, I like the fact that they have a standard to the quality of the work that they try to do. That's cool. Um, you know what I'm saying? It's always nice to work somewhere where they actually enjoy doing a good job. Uh, Not like people who want to bring you a bunch of dirty dishes and act like you're supposed to get all the food off of it, or go bust your own dishes, but you're not getting paid to be a busser. Anyway, uh, it's okay because they'll get what they got coming too. But yeah, this job will make it to where I don't have to worry about the court stuff. Um, you know what I mean? I can find another little job which is what I'm looking for right now. Well, I'm waiting for a couple places to possibly call me back, but if no one calls me before next Friday, I'll get the schedule down for this place, and then I'll go find another little part time gig I can go work, once or twice a week, you know, and then I'm cool. I'll just rock it like that for a minute. Um, I'm just saying, like, but once again, this is all just positive energy going forward to really feed on. Once again, I have court on Thursday, y'all. I have court in 3 days. Pray for a brother. Pray that everything goes the way that it's supposed to go. Um, got court next Thursday. Following up. Again, pray for me again. Um, uh, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just think about a boy. Yeah, man, think about your boy, because I'm a pray for you guys, and y'all are always on my mind. Always thinking about y'all, you know. But I'm thinking it's just about that time, just about late enough. Uh, what do I really want to say though? That's right. For y'all people living in those border states where the wall of Babylon is being built, the walls of Babylon are being built. Be very careful. They've just changed the status of how legal immigrants are to sustain themselves here. Gonna make them very disgruntled when they see your black ass. Okay, just know that. Even if they don't know it yet, they're going to be disgruntled. They're going to be jealous. You mean to tell me the fucking Mayate that they brought here get to stay here, and my people Aztecan fucking they fucking they being here? You mean tell me that they get to stay? Oh, they're going to be pissed. They're going to be pissed. You mean to tell me after all the women my grandpappy give to you fucking blanquitos, this is how you repay us? Because you got to understand, there were a lot of different Spaniards and Mexicans who gave their daughters to white dudes to try to maintain their uh, their status within society because they realized that the English were just doing a full blown hostile takeover of the land. So realize that these people, all this shit is still fresh in their minds. I don't need to remind y'all about how China feels about America. Y'all already know about how Iran and Russia feels about America. How much longer do all these places going to put up with this shit until they say, you know what, fuck it, cyber attack these fools and then let's go see what they're about. Y'all listen. I've been only so far off. I've been only so far off of the things that I've been saying. I did not say the Russia, China, Iran thing too much a year ago, 2 years ago. I just really started this last few months, last 6 months, if you really wanted to get technical, like really send that home because I want y'all to lock that in your brains. Your boy has been on point for so many different little things. If y'all think I'm lying about Russia, China, and Iran, I couldn't be more right about it. And that's what sucks about it, is that I know I'm right. And I wish I was wrong. But whenever those dirty bastards get here, and they will, stand to the side and let them do what they're going to do. That said, my black people, I appreciate every iota and scintilla of your time that you give me. I think it's been a good enough stream. With that said, you have a good night, and may the Most High God continue to bless us all. Love you, and I'll talk to you later.